Today, we are in downtown Minneapolis at the Star Trek convention, at an event I've always dreamed of attending. If perhaps you've been locked away in the closet for the past 43 years and haven't heard of Star Trek, it was a television show which first hit the airwaves in the mid-60s and featured the adventures of the crew of the Starfleet vessel, the USS Enterprise. Now, fast forward 4+ decades, and today, an entire culture has formed around this Star Trek phenomenon. The fans known as Trekkies live for these gatherings, and they come from all over the world.
Never been to America before, never been to Minnesota before, and we thought, heck, we're going. So put a bit more speed on making my uniform and a few more extra trinkets and headed over for 8 days.
Having grown up never missing an episode, I mean, my brother Dave and I would shake with excitement when that would come out over our new color zenith. Well, on this day in Minneapolis, that exciting feeling was back. The big two were here on the same stage, at the same time. That's right, Bill and Leonard, Shatner and Nimoy.
But it's a very rare opportunity to have both of those on stage at the same time.
Just because I love Star Trek, you know, and being like 5 years old and, you know, being able to come here and meet William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and, you know, the other guests is just, you know, fantastic. It's like a dream come true.
Before Bill and Lenny, it was a pleasure to catch up with some of the fantastic actors that played important characters in the early years of the show. For instance, Sean Kenny, who played Captain Christopher Pike, the first captain of the Enterprise.
And we get the greatest stories from people about how this series affected their lives. I've had people who are physicists invent inventions because of this. I've had people who were handicapped. People come up to me and say the character of Captain Pike inspired them to live longer, and that, you know, there were great stories.
Oh my, it can't be. It just can't be, but it is. The Gorn himself. My favorite episode of all time.
It was warm, neoprene rubber suit, hot, it was warm outside. It was slow moving, just hit 4-inch rubber all over your body, and you just figure how that would be to move.
To some of the actors, Trek has had a profound impact on their careers and their lives.
What I like about Star Trek fans, I was always a geek and a weirdo in high school, completely. And it never felt like I fit in. And suddenly when I met with my friends who were into Star Trek, we all had a place to be and fit in. And that's what's really unique about these events, is that people who have, it's a place where people have a community and a place to be and feel wanted and welcomed, and anything goes. It's just kind of remarkable.
I met several scientists who told me that if it hadn't been for Star Trek, that they wouldn't have gone into NASA.
I was in awe at the rainbow of Star Trek stuff available for purchase. It's a buying bonanza. Collector plates, action figures, an original series Type 2 phaser. Well, so much for the trip to Cozumel. This stuff's gonna look so good in my living room. No way! A poster signed by Batman and the Boy Wonder? And a no-brainer, a plastic Enterprise D for only $100? These vendors, I bet, have seen it all. These fans are so special, they've even had a couple of movies made about them. Meet Hollywood director and Minnesota native Roger Nygard. Roger has directed the 2 movies, Trekkies and Trekkies 2.
I learned the most important thing about Star Trek fans, which is what ties them all together, and it's the theme of the show. Star Trek is unique in all of science fiction, and maybe all of fiction, because it presents a portrayal of a positive future, where human beings are advancing, everybody has an equal opportunity, whether male, female, handicapped, or otherwise. Everyone gets a chance.
Is everyone ready? And roll tape in 3, 2, 1, action! And cut.
One of the characters from Trekkies 2 is producer Brian Dellis. This Minnesotan has spent almost 3 decades trying to imitate and mock the Star Trek world. Recently, his crew of well-fed Trekkies time-traveled back to the 1880s in Dellis's The Final Frontier Revisited.
Captain, it appears we are outnumbered approximately 6-1. This factored in with our combatants' experience with these rather crude firearms leads me to calculate an approximate 23.4% survival rate, sir.
I like those odds. All right, let's make our move.
Time!
it!
The Final Frontier Revisited was actually my, I don't know, 15th or so parody of Star Trek. It, for some reason over the past 30 years or 25, 30 years, it's been such a fun vehicle to work with. It's just, I don't know if it's the costumes or the characters, but I've just spent most of my life having fun with Star Trek. It's a positive spin on the future, and it's optimism, and I'm all about optimism.
Guys like Nygaard and Dellis are like me. We all grew up with Captain Kirk and the gang, and we just can't let him go. However, this yeoman's mission at this convention isn't quite finished. An interview with Shatner and Nimoy was in order. It was to be my finest interview ever. Move over, David Frost.
Sir, please turn the camera off. It's off.
I'm here to interview Leonard Nimoy and Bill Shatner.
Sorry, sir, but you are not networked. They don't mess with you local peons.
My badge says press.
Hold it. You're still rolling. Are you still rolling? Turn the camera off.
Camera's off, sir.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
What a thrill. Bill Shatner, Leonard Nimoy. Couple of good guys. Hey, to quote the all-knowing Mr. Spock, live long and You know, I really could never get that.
When we come back, we'll wrap up this edition of Life to the Max. Stay with us.
Life to the Max is brought to you by Life Touch, photography for a lifetime.